Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Check us out for a mess. This is meant to be a mixing drill. I don't even know what make it is, let alone which model. A mixing drill for mix and render and plaster and that. And this thing has been used and abused. I think this is more of a salvage job than a repair job. Bearing's completely shot down here anyway. Look at the state of this thing. Does he even know which end was meant to be doing the mixing? The actual whisk is clean. The tool is filthy. Gonna have to excavate this thing. Right enough. How do you get that much on there? Right. We'll have to see if we can fix this thing up. Does she run though? Badly, but yes. Right. Looks like bearings. Let's get under here and see if we can fix it up. First, we're going to have to dig it out. The best way to do it is just with a screwdriver and a hammer. Starting to look like a Bosch maybe. Chisel's a little bit handier actually. It's also a little bit more rusty. Plus it's destroying the chisel. I'll speed it up a little bit. So it is a Bosch. So this would make it a GRW12E. Right, that's as much weight as I can get off it. Fine tune it now. Now, this ain't going on someone's wall to be admired. This is going back out to work again. So you don't have to have it spotless. Just because we have it on for repair and we clean it doesn't mean the boy getting it back again is somehow going to look after it then. It'll be in the same state within a few weeks. Take the spindle off, make it a bit easier to work on. I can't get over how clean the spindle is compared to the machine. Now we can see the extent of it. The bearing's completely gone. There'll be another bearing up on here as well, so that'll also need to be changed. The important thing is the aluminium housing. Scrape all the way around that bearing, because the cement or plaster will have worked its way in to the edge and corroded the aluminium a little bit. But it's mainly the actual cement. You want to scrape that all off. If you don't, whenever you actually press out the bearing, there's still cement on here, that's going to go over the top of the cement and expand this aluminium and actually crack the casing. So make sure all that's scraped off on the inside. So we'll go to the motor side first. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Normally, it can be a lot worse. Let's just pull them brushes out so we can actually get the motor out. Now the whole motor section is not just going to pull out. These are actually machine screws first, actually bolting the gearbox halves together. The actual motor mounts then are actually underneath this, so you have to open up the gearbox to take the motor out. There's another 4 screws. Just Save that gasket as well. Now that motor will come out. So this bearing's gone as well. And this one. Also given there a good clean. So this is our main problem. Give the workbench a good clean first before we actually go onto the gearbox, just to save any extra contamination. Right, that's everything a bit cleaner. Leave that to one side. Starting the motor. We circlip on here. That has to come out first. And you can press the armature off this aluminium head. And there's another problem as well. That needle bearing's all seized up and rusted. Yeah. Looks like we're going to have a bit of water damage on this as well. I would say water's got past and she's filled up this cavity. So I'd say there's a lot of rust going to be inside of this thing. If that one's gone, there could be another one gone inside too. Yeah. It doesn't look to have damaged the actual gear. Hopefully we'll get away with it. Press this one off first. Underneath that armature, another C-clip holding this bearing on. Knock that out. Now this one could be a problem. It is rusted. It might not be completely gone. We'll wash this all out first before we decide if we're going to change that needle bearing. The front side of here ain't looking good. Yeah. Bit of contamination on here, alright. That bearing down here is actually gone. Yeah. The needles are gone on that one. So this bottom one is gone, we'll have to get that out. Right, we'll scrape out this grease for now. We'll put those through the parts washer. Just try to get out some of the excess stuff first, so it doesn't just contaminate the kerosene in the parts washer. Right, you can see this bearing's the one that done the damage, you know. This failed, the seal failed, and water started getting up inside. It pulled up moisture inside of here. It's corroded the gears, made them look bad, but it's done them no damage. But it has destroyed this needle bearing. So that there's worn out, probably from corrosion and that. The needles have fallen out, so I'll have to replace that. I'll have to see if I have one of them or not. But now, to get this bearing out and the other one, we have to press off this gear. So support the aluminium underneath here. Make sure it's well supported and not interfering with the bearing. And press the centre of the shaft straight down. This here gear's pressed on, so it will be a tight fit. I'll have to put quite a bit of pressure on to get that gear off. And there's what's left of the bearing. Completely gone. So I have to tidy up the shaft. Also have to get off this inner race. And get out this bearing as well, because that's also failed. Now before you can get this race pulled off, you're going to have to clean this shaft, because that'll be all rust. It'll make it too thick for the inner race to actually come off. You can also cut it off as well, slice down on one side, and actually break the hold. You just pull it off in a lot easier if you don't have an iron press. There we go. Clean this up a little bit more. It'll be ready to be used again. Now this needle bearing here is actually going to make or break this repair. Bosch don't sell this here separately. They show it in the breakdown, but it's along with this aluminium gearbox housing. So to replace that is to spend €100 on a new gearbox housing, which ain't going to be worth it for this here thing. So the only way we're going to be able to fix this is if we can get that bearing out, find out what size it is, and if we can actually get or have one in stock. So we have to get this here out first. Now these are awkward because they're actually bottomed out. There's no hole on the other side, so you can't press them out from this side. Plus it's just an open needle bearing. Two ways to get them out. Sometimes when at the surface you can just pull them out, break them apart or something, as long as you don't damage the aluminium housing around it. But the best way to get it out is actually use pressure. Put something in and actually beat into it to knock out the bearing. So the way you see boys doing it online is get a bit of grease, heavy grease, like so this here. Put that into the hole and then tear bits of rag or cloth or something nice and fine and shove that in as well and put more grease on top. Then you get something with a good tight fit, good tight tolerance, metal shaft you can actually hit, then actually beat into the grease and compress the grease and the fabric together. Because the fabric won't get up past the shaft, won't come back out through the hole, it'll pressurize the bottom and actually cause the needle bearing to push out. So you keep doing that, putting grease on and bits of rag and keep beating on it, and the needle bearing will eventually come out. Or the way I actually like to use, it's a little less messy, it's Play-Doh or Marla or something, some sort of putty, and put that on and actually beating the putty, and that'll take it out. Or even blue tack. But of course I haven't got any blue tack for Play-Doh, so what I actually use is a bit of quick steel. As long as this hasn't actually gone off on me, this is quite old. Just Top bit's hard to get off. We don't actually want to mix it. All you want is the outside piece. So when you remix the inside and the outside, it actually mix quick steel. It'll set like steel. But if you don't mix it, it won't go off. This is a lot heavier as well, so it gives a better fit. You can already see that bearing starting to pull out. Like I say, you can just use Play-Doh as well. And a good thick putty will do the same job. Plus, this actually saves the needle bearing, doesn't destroy the actual outside race. So if there's any markings on the bottom, you should be able to still see them, which can be a big problem when you're changing a needle bearing. There we go. One needle bearing. You can easily clean it down inside of the hole. That's what it's doing. It's compacting in, and it can't get back out through here, so it has to push on the edge of here and actually push out the actual bearing. So just make sure the inside of that's clean, because I use quick steel instead of putty. No, it's actually worn off. So there's the bottom, there's nothing on the side. The actual top, where the actual grease and the rust was, is actually worn away the markings. There's nothing left there to read. So if you can't get the number, you're going to have to measure it. So it's 13.9, so about 14 outside diameter. Inside you can't measure because it's gone. So we use the shaft diameter, which is worn because it's corroded. It's 9.8, so that's around a 10 mil. So 10 mil inside, 14 outside. See if we can find anything that'll match that. So this is lip seals and needle bearings. They're too small. They're too big. The rest are all seals and set bearings. There's a couple of oddball ones though. They're too big. And that's too big. And these are just the boxes of actual bearings. They're no good, too wee, and the rest are too big. And I've none over here. All those bottom rows, all bearings, all the way across. But they're standard roller bearings, not needle bearings. The only other place I can get ones is here, or in all the red bins, which is all mixed parts. But all these here boxes are set machines, Sometimes we will get one for like a Makita or a Bosch. If they have that nail bearing, have it in along with the machine parts. But the only way to find out if we have one is just slowly go through each one, see if we can find one. I'll start with a Bosch jigsaw. Nope. Bosch hammer. They're going to be too big if there is one. Sorted Bosch. Now they may not have the number for this bearing, but Bosch could use this somewhere else. And if they do, they'll have a part number. But obviously I'll not have a part number until I find what machine's in. Or it could be on a Makita machine. At least Makitas just give you the part number no matter what the part. Even if it's a bearing, they'll actually give you the bearing size. Nope. Nope. They're nuts. Bronze bushings. Nope, not all of them. That looks promising. So this is the Bosch grinder box, the GRW12E I'll just check that up. $14. That's roughly 10 mil. Spot on. That'll do the job. So this one's made in Germany. VWANA. That's a HK1010. I'll just look up the Bosch part number for that grinder, just to make it easier to actually get it. So this here's an older Bosch grinder. There are other ones with GRW12E or JV. That's the bearing there we're looking for. Just on the head where the actual spindle for the crown gear actually goes onto. Location 51. So needle roller is actually 2 numbers. Got a plain bearing, and that's the part number 1600200-031, 14 mil diameter. I'd imagine that's this one here. The needle roller, diameter 14. So it's actually 2600910-001. The first one will just be a bronze bush. That's the one you want there. It only costs £3 or £4 for that. So if your Bosch mixer and this needle bearing goes on it, look up the Bosch grinder. Now to reinstall this, you don't want to beat on it. You want it to go on as gently as possible. So heat up this housing and just let it drop on. Also make sure you have the numbers facing up so the next man can actually read them if he needs to change it. And be quick, because the aluminium will suck the heat away very quickly. So all the bearings you're going to need for the armature, 608 for the bottom and a 6001 for the top. And for up here, the big one on the bottom, it's a 6203. And then up here then, it's a 6003. So Quite a few bearings needed. I just changed it when this one started to fail. Might have saved the rest of them, especially this here needle bearing. Right, the handiest way to do this is to press the big one onto this first. Press this one under the housing, which shouldn't be all that tight. So whenever this is on the shaft, you can support this inner race here and press the shaft on. So that's bearing supported. This one doesn't matter because it's not all that tight a fit anyway. So first off, press this on. Them in, put on your wee shim, then you can press on the gear. That's the gear that's actually holding this shaft on. This will be a tight fit. That's better. Nearly there. This thing's turned into a proper repair-a-thon. Right. I think we're ready to go. First off, grease. Gonna get the proper Bosch stuff under that needle bearing. But the rest, I'm just going to use a lithium grease. Get quite a bit of stuff onto this. This is already quite an expensive repair. I'd add on an extra 20 or 30 euro of Bosch grease onto it. try to remember where the hole for that bearing is for the needle, because that kind of has to go in blind then. There we go. Another dollop of grease on that. Good Bosch grease up here. I think that's it. Just put an extra bit up on that. Pin here, actually locating this. That'll hold your gasket as well. That's that. These face down. Smooth side faces this black plate. That's not going to work. You have to screw this on first. Now we're sucking diesel. Brushes are about halfway worn, so they'll be fine for another little while. Now, doesn't that look a whole lot better? Actually cleans up quite nice. Actually looks like a proper Bosch machine again. Even still make out the badge. 2021 by the looks of it. Question is, what does she sound like? What'll be wrong with that? Sounds like a new machine. Now, you may look at that thing coming on and think, what's the point? She's worn out, she's abused, just go and buy a new one. But a new one's €500. And this may have taken 2 hours to do, but I still only needed 4 standard bearings and 1 needle bearing and a bit of grease. So that repair is only going to actually cost this customer €100, including the VAT and the labour. So €100 to fix it, $500 to replace it. Might seem like a lost cause when they initially come in, but they can always be cleaned up again. So it's a fifth of the price of buying a new one, just to fix this old one. And as well, actual variable speed on the trigger itself is actually still working, which is always a plus, because that particular switch on the Bosch cost about €69 to actually buy. Quite expensive. You get them a wee bit cheaper if you buy them from Ibenstock or Refina. They're the exact same switch, just a different colour. They're a little bit cheaper from them, but the Bosch one costs about $69. That's still a lot cheaper than the older version of this, the GRW12E. The switch for that old one cost about €150, but the older one was a much bigger and better machine. This here is a lot lighter in comparison. But switches and mixing drills generally cost quite a bit of money. They do fail quite often, especially when they come in looking like this one did. But that's it. One Bosch GRW12E up and running again and tidied up. Might look bad, but they're never a lost cause when it's only bearings. It's really not worth fixing whenever the motor goes, or if you had to just replace that needle bearing along with the whole housing, that would have basically just doubled the price, but still would have been cheaper than buying a new one. But anyway, that's her. Thanks for watching, folks. Give us a wee like and a follow down the bottom if you're enjoying the videos as always. If you want to help out the channel, hit that share and subscribe button. Thanks, folks. Cheers.